Hello, this is TCG and welcome to the first lecture for Comptia Security Plus 601 exam. Phishing. Derived from the activity phishing, it is when the attackers bait the user by acting genuine into clicking on a website or giving up personal details voluntarily. Some common types of phishing are email phishing, which is the most common type of phishing, in which attackers act as legitimate entities in order to try to get personal details or to get victims into installing a malware. Phishing, also known as voice phishing, in which attackers act as trusted sources and they hide their ID by modern ID spoofing to extract confidential data from the victim. Smishing, aka SMS phishing. Attackers try to get victims or users to enter personal data and or to open an attachment which may contain malwares. Spear phishing is when attackers try to get background information about a particular user via social media, Instagram, etc., to create a phishing attack focused on that very victim. Whaling, which is similar to spear phishing, happens when attackers attack a personnel in an organization that may handle financial aspects of the organization to try and steal the money of the organization. Farming is when attackers redirect a legitimate website's traffic to fraudulent site by exploiting vulnerabilities in the DNS server. You may think that you're going to the actual website, but you are being redirected to the attacker's website. Users may not even realize that they're on a fake site since the URL appears correct. Impersonation. As the name suggests, it is when attackers impersonate the identity of a trusted person or a trusted entity in order to manipulate victims into divulging confidential information or performing actions that may compromise security. Some good examples of the same are CEO fraud, when attackers impersonate a high ranking executive like the CEO within an organization to manipulate employees into thinking that the CEO is asking them to do such actions. IT support impersonations. This is when attackers pose as IT support into trick employees into revealing login credentials or installing malicious softwares. They often use technical terms to confuse victims and they try to make them think that there is a non existing issue within their systems. Vendor or partner impersonation. Attackers impersonate vendors or partners associated with the organization. They send fake invoices or request access to certain resources or data in order to steal that data. Customer service impersonation. Attackers pose as customer service representatives in order to trick customers into providing personal or financial information. They ask for personal details via verification or login information in the guise of issue resolution. Some methods to avoid these attacks include not giving out passwords and OTP, not giving out login details, and verifying the identity of the entity before giving them any details. Dumpster diving. Dumpster diving is when attackers search through the physical waste of the organization. This can include some important information such as old bills, bank statements, invoices, medical records, and printed emails. It may also include discarded CDs, DVDs, USB drives, etc., that have digital information on them. It may also include some other items such as sticky notes, notebooks, and scraps of paper, which may hold some personal information about the employees. They use such information to find personal details like names, addresses, phone numbers, etc. This information can be used for identity theft or social engineering attacks. This information can also be used for retrieval of financial information, since discarded financial documents such as bank statements, credit card bills, and loan papers can provide attackers with the information needed to commit financial fraud or open new account in the victim's name. Lastly, discovery of credentials. Notes or documents with passwords, pins, and security codes can be found in the trash. These credentials can be used to gain unauthorized access to the systems, accounts, or secure areas. Some of the ways to mitigate the risk of dumpster diving include shredding documents or burning documents before throwing them away, proper disposal of digital media, which may include using magnetized coils in order to destroy all the information on a DVD or a hard drive. It may also include employee training, which is to educate employees about the risks of dumpster diving and the importance of proper disposal of sensitive information. Shoulder surfing is a social engineering attack where an employee who may be accessing some important information or who may be logging in with the credentials are often peeked on by the attacker. It includes direct observation in proximity to the employee or at a distance using a camera or binoculars, eavesdropping, and using a reflective surface. Shoulder surfing can be prevented by being aware of your surroundings, using privacy filters, and by using biometric authentication instead of using login credentials. Computer hoaxes are false alarms or misleading messages that spread through digital channels such as email, social media, or websites. These hoaxes can lead to unnecessary panic, waste of resources, or lead to the spread of misinformation. Some of them are virus hoaxes, which are messages warning users about non existent viruses, urging them to take drastic actions such as deleting essential file systems or forwarding the message to others. Fake alerts, fake pop ups or emails that mimic legitimate security alerts, often prompting users to download and install malicious software disguised as antivirus tools or system updates. False giveaways, messages or posts that promise free products, service, or money in exchange for sharing the message, filling out surveys, or providing personal information. There are a couple ways to identify and protect your computer against hoaxes. Fact checking. Verify the information through reputable sources such as official websites, news outlets, or fact checking organizations such as Snopes, factcheck.org, etc. Email filters. Enabling email spam filter and anti-phishing features in your email to reduce the likelihood of hoax messages reaching your inbox is a very common way of identifying hoaxes. Question unsolicited messages. Be cautious of unsolicited messages, especially those that create a sense of urgency, offering something for free or ask for personal information in limited time. A watering hole attack is a cyber attack strategy where attackers compromise a website or a set of websites that are frequently visited by a specific group of users. Their goal is to infest these visitors with malware or gather sensitive information. This is done when the security of a system or network is too high for the attackers, so they use third-party websites that the users are likely to visit. It includes the following steps: target identification, which is research about the organization and selecting a site or multiple websites that the users tend to visit often, such as forums, etc. Website compromise. Attackers now look for vulnerabilities in the selected websites, such as outdated software, unpatched security holes, or weak security configurations. Once a vulnerability is found, the attackers inject malicious code onto the website. Infection of visitors. When a member of the targeted group visits the compromised websites, the malicious code executes and infects their device. Often, the infection happens without the victim's knowledge, allowing the attacker to maintain prolonged access to the compromised systems. It may also affect non-targeted users. For prevention of a watering hole attack, multiple layers of security are required. The organization should implement a policy to deal with such situations. The organization and employees should keep all softwares, firewalls, IPSs, antiviruses, anti-malwares, and all other security-related softwares up to date. The organization should also train employees and users to recognize and avoid suspicious behavior of websites and to follow best practices for online security. Spam refers to unsolicited, often irrelevant or inappropriate messages sent over the internet. typically to a large number of users for the purpose of advertising, phishing, spreading malware, or other malicious activities. Spams are unsolicited, misleading, and are distributed to the mass for commercial intent, mostly fraudulent schemes. Some common sources of spam are as follows: email spam, the most common form, which includes advertising, phishing emails, and scam messages. Comment spam, spams posted in the comment section of blogs, forums, or social media posts such as Reddit, Instagram, etc., to promote products or malicious links. Search engine spam. These are techniques used to manipulate search engine rankings in order to promote spammy websites. Social media spam. These are unsolicited messages, fake likes, follows, or comments on social media platforms in order to promote products or malicious links. Spams can be avoided by using filters for messages and emails, targeting, blacklisting and whitelisting, using antivirus and anti-malware, and by being cautious with links and attachments. Note: Internet cannot be trusted. Spam is a form of spam that is specifically sent over instant messages servicing. The term comes from a mixture of spam and IM, instant messaging. Like email spam is unsolicited and usually sent in bulk, often containing advertisements, phishing links, or malicious content. Influence campaigns are coordinated efforts by multiple attackers or multiple computer nodes in order to affect the perceptions, beliefs, and behaviors of individuals or groups, often for political, ideological, or commercial purposes. These campaigns utilize various strategies and tactics to share public opinion, manipulate information, and steer decision making purposes. This attack is coordinated, targeted, multi platform, and based on manipulation of information. It is spread mainly by using fake accounts, and the social media platforms take care of the rest. It is done to change how the people think regarding political, social, economical, and government related matters. Tailgating, also known as piggybacking, is a physical security breach where an unauthorized personnel may gain access to a restricted area by following closely behind an authorized person. This tactic exploits the authorized person access rights and often relies on the politeness or lack of vigilance of the authorized individual. For example, an unauthorized person waits near a secure entrance. When an authorized person unlocks the door or uses the access card, the unauthorized person may follow closely behind, sometimes engaging in conversation or appearing to belong to the group to avoid suspicion. Credential harvesting is a cyber attack technique where attackers collect usernames, passwords, and other sensitive login information from individuals or organizations. They are often collected by phishing, keylogging, Trojan horses, and man in the middle attacks, and maybe social engineering. It can also use saved passwords from browsers to harvest your credentials. It can be prevented by implementing multiple factor authentication, using advanced email filtering and security, being cautious with links and attachment, and by verifying websites before visiting them. Social engineering attacks exploit human psychology rather than technical vulnerabilities in order to gain access to information systems or facilities. They change constantly and are often effective. Some of the principles behind social engineering attacks are as follows: authority. Attackers exploit the tendency to obey authoritative figures or those perceived to be in a position of power, such as CEOs. For example, an email appearing to be from a company executive demanding urgent action. Social proof. People tend to follow the actions of others, especially in uncertain situations. Attackers may use fake testimonials or endorsements to create a false sense of legitimacy. Reciprocity. People feel obliged to return a favor. Attackers may offer a small gift or service to create a sense of obligation, promoting victims to reciprocate by providing information. Consistency. People like to be consistent with what they have previously said or done. Attackers exploit this by getting small commitments first, which lead to larger commitments in the future, which is also known as the foot in the door technique. Liking or trust. People are more likely to comply with requests from individuals they like or trust. Attackers may build up a connection or appear friendly and trustworthy to lower their defenses. Urgency. Creating a sense of urgency or panic to encourage quick action. Attackers use time sensitive scenarios to bypass rational thinking and prompt immediate response. Malware, also known as malicious software, is any software designed to cause damage to a computer or a network. It often aims to steal data, disrupt operations, or gain unauthorized access to the systems. Common types of malware include viruses, worms, trojans, ransomwares, spywares, adwares, and rootkits. Malwares can infect systems through various means such as email attachments, malicious websites, software downloads, and exploiting security vulnerabilities. Protecting against malware involves using antivirus softwares, keeping systems updated, practicing safe browsing habits, and educating users about potential threats. Virus. A computer virus is a type of malware that attaches itself to a legitimate program or file and then spreads to other programs. It works as follows. Infection. The virus attaches itself to a host file or program. It could be an executable program, a document, or any other file that allows code execution. Activation. When the infected file is opened or executed, the virus is activated. This can happen automatically without the user's knowledge. Some common types of viruses are as follows. File infected viruses. These viruses attach themselves to executable files such as .exe and .com files and spread when the infected file is run. They often overwrite or modify code within the file. Boot sector viruses. They're not very common nowadays, but these viruses infect the master boot record or MBR or the boot sector of a storage device. They execute when the system starts up, making them hard to detect and remove. Macroviruses. These viruses infect macro-enabled documents such as those created in Microsoft Word or Excel. They execute when the document is opened and can spread to other documents and systems. Replication. Once activated, the virus replicates by copying itself to other files, programs, or even to other computers within a network. It may also modify system settings to ensure it runs whenever the system starts. Payload execution. Many viruses have a payload, which is the malicious activity they perform. This can range from deploying annoying messages, corrupting data, stealing information, or even taking complete control of the systems. Spreading. Viruses spread by using various techniques such as email attachments, file sharing, removable media such as USB drives, and network connections. Some viruses exploit security vulnerabilities to spread without any user interaction. Polymorphic viruses. As the name suggests, these viruses change the code or signature each time they infect a new file, making them very hard to detect using a traditional antimalware software. Metamorphic viruses. They are similar to polymorphic viruses, but they completely rewrite the code each time they infect a new file, further evading detection. Resident viruses. These viruses embed themselves in the system memory and can infect other files or programs even when the original host is not running. Since this virus is not saved inside your computer hard drive, they are very hard to detect. Non-resident viruses. These viruses do not remain in memory, but instead search for files in order to infect and terminate after the task is complete. Multipartite viruses. These viruses can infect both executable files and the boot sector, combining the characteristics of file infector and boot sector viruses. Overwriting viruses. These viruses overwrite the content of the files they infect, often rendering them useless. The original content is usually lost. Stealth viruses. These viruses employ techniques to avoid detection by antiviruses and anti-malwares such as intercepting. Viruses can be prevented by using updated softwares and antiviruses. using IPS and firewalls, and being aware of any suspicious files and links from the internet. Viruses keep on getting better at hiding from the user and antiviruses, so a multi-layered security system is necessary. Worms. A computer worm is a type of malware that replicates itself to other computers, often without any user intervention. Unlike viruses, worms do not need to attach themselves to existing program or files in order to spread. Here's how they work. Replication. Worms can replicate themselves rapidly and independently. Once a worm infects a computer, it creates copies of itself and seeks to spread to other systems. Propagation. Worms often spread through network connections, exploiting vulnerabilities in operating systems, applications, or network protocols. They can also spread via online medium. Payload. While the primary function of a worm is to spread, many worms carry a malicious payload that can perform harmful actions on the infected systems. This can include deleting files, stealing data, installing backdoors, or launching DDoS or DOS attacks. Execution. Worms typically execute automatically and silently without without any action required from the user. They may exploit vulnerabilities to run their code or trick users into executing them via social engineering tactics. Protection against worms is similar to that of viruses, that is, using updated softwares and antiviruses, using IPS and firewall, and being aware of any suspicious file and links from the internet. Ransomware. Becoming more popular in the last few years, it is a type of malware designed to block access to a computer system or files until a sum of money or ransom is paid. It typically infiltrates a system through phishing emails, malicious attachments, or compromised websites. Once executed, the ransomware encrypts files on the victim's device, rendering them inaccessible. The attackers then demand payment in cryptocurrency, often Bitcoin, since it is untraceable, in exchange for the decryption key needed to unlock the files. Ransomwares can cause significant disruptions to businesses, governments, and individuals, leading to data loss, financial damages, and reputational harm. Trojans. Trojans and remote access Trojans, or RATs, are a type of malicious software designed to infiltrate a system and grant unauthorized access to cybercriminals. Trojans disguise themselves as legitimate software or files to deceive users into downloading them, often through email attachments or compromised websites. Once activated, Trojans can steal sensitive information, disrupt file systems, or create backdoors for further exploitation. RATs are a specific subset of Trojans that provide remote control capabilities, allowing attackers to remotely access and control the infected devices. This enables cybercriminals to execute various malicious actions such as spying on the user activities, stealing data, or even taking full control of the systems. Both Trojans and RATs pose significant security risks and can cause extensive damage to individuals, businesses, and organizations if not detected and mitigated properly. To protect from Trojans, use updated and reliable security softwares, back up your data, configure or implement an SIEM tool and an IDS, implement access control, and be cautious of links and files from the internet.